So before starting your first experiment, you need to create an environment to test it on your home computer. So start by downloading the build for the CT viewer. There are source links here as well. Ignore those for now. You might want to link back to them later if you care about linking to the source of the viewer you used in an experiment. Otherwise, ignore them. Okay, we also will need a server to run the viewer. I'm going to use PHP. It comes with a simple test server, which, fills our needs. If you come from Python, you might be inclined to use their server, but don't, because it doesn't support PHP, and you will need that in order to save the data from your participants, at least for our example. Okay, so while it's downloading, create a folder. We'll call it test folder. I'm creating it on the root of my C drive because it'll make it easier for me to navigate to it later when I have to use the command line. Okay, so when PHP finishes installing, move it to the test folder you just created and unzip it there. I'm going to remove the folder that zip automatically tries to zip it into because I want it all just to be right there in my test folder, every single file. Okay, now do the same thing with the build folder. So bring that in where you just unzip PHP. And unzip it as well. Again, remove the folder that the zip program tries to add. It will still unzip in its own separate folder, the build01 folder, but if you didn't remove the folder, then it would be 2 folders deep, and you can work around that, but we don't care for it. Okay, so now we have a mess of files from PHP and our build folder with index.html. Okay, so we want to make sure we have php.exe. That's going to be the server that's running. And go to start and type in cmd to open your command prompt. It'll start out in some directory. Mine's user. You can use cd space ... to go up a directory. So I'm going to use 2 ... to go up 2 directories, which takes me to the root of my C drive. You can type dir, and it will show you the folders in that drive. You can see our test folder. Now I'm going to do cd test folder to go into the folder, type dir again, and you can see the big list of files that we have in that folder. So you can see php.exe, that's what we're going to be using. So do php.exe -S localhost : and then a port number. We're going to use 8000. And then do a -t build01/. And so that'll open up a server on localhost, and it will serve the files in our build01 folder. So you can open up a browser, go localhost 8000, and you can see we are now using our demo. Okay, so I'm going to go through quickly and complete a trial, and we'll save it so that way we can see what the PHP script in our server saves our information as. Okay, so let's go to the server, the folder that our server was in, do build01 and then data, and we see there are 2 folders here because my screen capturing program had crashed earlier. So, but yeah, we'll open up the second of the data files that we just made. We're opening it up in Notepad++, which can support Unix line endings, which is what I have the PHP script set to save it as. You can change that if you want, but who cares? Okay, I'm going to hit Control-C to stop the server, And now I am going to open up the server for any computer on my home network to access. So instead of localhost, I'm going to do 0.0.0.0. I'm going to keep the port number and the build folder the same. So you run it. And now, instead of, you can't type localhost on another computer, you have to find the IP address. So go to your networks, properties, and then you can see IP4 address, and that's the address you would want to use. So you'd go to the browser on another computer, and you type in 192, at least for my computer, 192.168.0.106, and it looks the same, as we did for localhost, but, it's worth mentioning the very first time you do this, when you do the php.exe, at 0.0.0, your firewall will probably pop up and yell at you. Don't worry about it. It's fine.